Shalom, shalom, shalom. Zion's Aliyah. I want to give all honor, all glory, and praise to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. That's the Most High God of Israel, none else, and His only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. I want to give a double honor to all the elders from the house of David, all the elders worldwide. And I want to give a mighty shalom to all the brothers, all the bros out there that's hitting the highways, the street corners, magnifying the Lord, pushing His truth, teaching these laws, teaching these prophecies. And I want to give another mighty shalom to all the women and children that's praying, fasting, giving alms, that's keeping the commandments and the faith of our Lord and Savior Yahweh Shai. Today we're going into destruction of Nicanor, Purim, more exhortation, more about motivation, and the law. So we're going to start off with Exodus chapter 22.
You want to read Psalms 92 first?
Oh, yes, Salaka, yeah. Sorry. We're going to read Psalms 92. You
want me to read it?
Yeah, Apocrypha shot.
All right, I know what it is. Shabbat Shalom, brothers. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 92, a psalm or song for the Sabbath day. It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Lord, to sing praises unto thy name, O Most High, to show forth thy loving kindness in the morning, and thy faithfulness every night, upon an instrument of 10 strings, upon the psaltery, upon the harp with a solemn sound. For thou, Lord, hast made me glad through thy work. I will triumph in the works of thy hands. O Lord, how great are thy works, and thy thoughts are very deep. A brutish man knoweth not, neither doth a fool understand this. When the wicked spring as the grass, when all the workers of iniquity do flourish, it is that they shall be destroyed forever. But thou, Lord, art most high forevermore. For lo, thine enemies, O Lord, for lo, thine enemies shall perish. All the workers of iniquity shall be scattered. But my horn shalt thou exhort like the horn of a unicorn. I shall be anointed with fresh oil. Mine eye shall see the desire on my enemies, and my ears shall hear my desire of the wicked that rise up against me. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Those that be planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of our God. They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. They shall be fat and flourishing to show that the Lord is upright. He is my rock, and there is no unrighteousness in him. We want to go to Exodus 22.
Exodus 22. We're just going to read through this. Most of it just plain up on tables. So let's just read it.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 22 and verse 1. If a man shall steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. If a thief be found breaking up and be smitten that he die, there shall be no blood shed for him. If the sun be risen upon him, there shall be blood shed for him. For he should make full restitution. If he have nothing, he shall be sold for his theft. So this is not being sold into slavery, but you would be a servant to pay off your debt. You know, that's like, think of like in a restaurant when they say you got to wash dishes to pay off your meal. Same thing. And just so you clear, when it says if a thief be found breaking up, so it's like if someone someone comes in your house and tries to steal from you in the middle of the night, and you kill him, then that you're not wrong in that instance, because in the middle of the night, he could be trying to take your life. If he does it in the daytime, then the right thing to do is because it's not really as malicious intent. That's why it says he's gonna make a full restitution, because someone comes in your house in the middle of the night, they could be trying to do harm to you, versus in the middle of the day,
And you don't know who it is, what I'm saying?
Exactly. You're gonna see like middle of the day, what the hell are you doing in my house? Versus at night, you wake up, in the ancient days, you grab your sword. Today's days, you might grab your bat, you might grab your your bat. Right? Verse 4. If the theft be certainly found in his hand alive, whether it be ox or ass or sheep, he shall restore double. Right? So this isn't usury, this is the law. So if you steal from somebody, you have to pay restitution, and it's almost like you're paying for like an inconvenience fee, like loss of time, because that ox, you costing him money every day he lost that ox. Versus today, you steal from somebody, say if you stole someone's bank card or something like that, or anything, you could be jamming them up in some kind of way. So think of that today, replace that ox with like, a credit card, a time, and things of that nature. Point is, you have to make up for what you took. Don't be let me not say that. But verse 5. If a man shall cause a field or vineyard to be eaten, and shall put in his beasts, and shall feed in another man's field of the best of his own field, and of the best of his own vineyard, shall he make restitution. If a fire break out and catch in thorns, so that the stacks of corn or standing corn or the field be consumed therewith, he that kindled the fire shall surely make restitution. If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and it be stolen out of the man's house, if the thief be found, let him pay double. If the thief be not found, then the master of the house shall be brought unto the judges to see whether he have put his hand on his neighbor's goods. And so you understand, in these days when they tried to find stuff like this out, we're gonna go into it with Purim. They would cast lots. There was a way, the Lord would find you out. Because remember, back in those days, there's no forensic team. That they can't, there's no Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, they can't get your DNA. No, they would the Levitical priesthood. They'd have the Urim and the Thummim. They'd have lots. They had a way to find your thieving ass out. And then when you got found out, it was, now you got to pay up. Right? Verse 9. For all manner of trespass, whether it be for ox, for ass, for sheep, for raiment, or for any manner of lost thing, which another challengeth to be his, the cause of both parties shall come before the judges, and whom the judges shall condemn, he shall pay double unto his neighbor. If a man deliver unto his neighbor an ass or an ox or a sheep or any beast to keep, and it die or be hurt or be driven away, no man seeing it, then an oath of the Lord shall be between them both, that he have not put his hand unto his neighbor's goods, and the owner shall accept it thereof, and he shall not make it good. And if it be stolen from him, he shall make restitution unto the owner thereof. And if it be torn in pieces, then let him bring it for a witness, and he shall not make good that which was torn. And if a man borrow aught of his neighbor, and it be hurt or die, the owner thereof being not with it, he shall surely make it good. But the owner thereof be with it, he shall not make it good. And if it be a hired thing, it came for his hire. So what this is going into pretty much is, say like, let's say for example, right? I borrow a shirt from you, right? When I gave you the shirt was in perfect condition. When you give me back the shirt, there's a hole in it. You gotta make restitution. But say like you gave I borrow a shirt from you, someone steals the shirt from me. I'm not liable in the same way as before. Now I still have to, because it said the thief brought it. Now I still have to make it good in a way, but it's not in the same instance. It's almost like think of it. I don't want to say manslaughter, but accidental loss would be the way to say it. It would have to be lost out, and I still have to make restitution thereof. But it's almost like me and you have to come to a proper agreement. So these are just the laws and statutes of repayment. The whole point is, if you steal from a brother, you make it good with the brother, right? and then it has to be proven. You don't want to bear false witness. But if you are that brother, you get caught, the right thing to do is to make it good with that brother. And according to the law, you don't just pay what's owed. You do have to give interest. Yeah, it says you have to pay double because you were being conniving. That's not right.
It's like more than double. It's like almost 4 or 5 times.
Well,
with the ox.
Yeah, because you got to remember, there's different tiers. Like say, if I go in your house and I steal your cup, your cup isn't as valuable as if I steal your TV.
Right.
You're gonna be mad. You're gonna be, a cup. You be like, you stealing my cup. Versus a TV. In your heart, you might want to put hands on the brother. Not to say that that's right, but you gonna want restitution now. Right. So, right, because remember, in these days, your ox, you'd use it to plow.
Oh man, that's like your wood too, right?
That is exactly it. Pull your cart. Now you understand it. Versus your sheep. Your sheep. It still had value. You get the wool, you make your clothes. You make your sacrifice. Your offerings and things of that nature. But the point is, things have different value. So according to the law, what is the equivalent of an ox would be the payment of an ox. What's the equivalent of a sheep would be the equivalent of a sheep. You steal my shoe, whatever my shoe is worth, I need that and some. But the point is, don't be a thief.
And if you do, right, don't be a thief. And when you
mm-hmm. But this is now remember, because this isn't a sin worthy of death, right? But this is a sin that if you do commit it, you pay restitution. But is that don't get caught up in the sin, because this at the end of the day, this goes back to covetousness. So if you get so caught up in it, that's why it says in verse 2, and if a thief be found breaking up, meaning he breaks, because you get emboldened once you keep stealing. You steal, you get away, you steal, now you think you in GTA, you doing bank heists, and then what happens? You break into someone's house in the middle of the night, and and he got a 8-gauge buckshot, and now you had 2 lungs and now you got none. So that's
right. It's just about responsibility and just being your brother's keeper at the end of the day.
There you go. What did Paul say? He who stole, steal no more. So that's the point.
Yeah.
Read on.
Oh no, I said on that. So let's just jump into destruction of Nicanor.
You wanted the first Maccabees or second Maccabees?
We're gonna start at second Maccabees. Right. So just to keep it plain, destruction of Nicanor is a celebration of us killing the so-called Caucasian man, so-called white man. All right. Let me read this. Nicanor, a general under Antiochus, Epiphanes, and Demetrius I, who took a prominent part in the wars waged by the Syrians against the Jews, to whom he bore a daily hate. So he really hated us. Under Antiochus, he had been master of the royal elephants, but he was appointed governor of Judea by Demetrius, whose trusted friend he was, and who had accompanied him when he escaped from Rome. Nicanor being one of the generals chosen by Lysias when he invaded Judea by the sale of Jew captives at 94 talent, brought multitudes of slave merchants to his camp. He was, however, most signally disappointed in his expectations, for in common with his companions in arms, he suffered disgraceful defeat from Judas Maccabeus and was compelled to escape in the disguise of a slave to Antioch. So we're just going to jump into it. If you want to read this on your own, which you should, just read 1 Maccabees 7, the whole thing, 1 Maccabees 8, 1 through 29, and 2 Maccabees 14 and 15. On 1 Maccabees 7. First Maccabees 8, 1 through 29. Then you want to read Second Maccabees 14 chapter and the 15th chapter. We're just gonna do a little brief history.
The third one is what?
What do you have?
I got 7.
You got
First Maccabee and
8, 1 through 29,
Yeah.
and then you got Second Maccabees 14 and 15 the chapter. Second Maccabees 8, verse 9.
Second Maccabees 8.
Yeah, verse 9. Just go to verse 9. We're gonna read verse 9 and then go to First Maccabees 7. Just read it in GNT. Read it in GNT.
You want me to read it in GNT? That's a lot. Bear with me.
Read 8 through 11.
Second Maccabees, right?
No, yeah, Second Maccabees 8. Yeah.
And verse 11.
Yes, sir.
You want to look from along?
Nah, come on.
It's the book of Second Maccabees, chapter 8 and verse 11 in the GNT.
Start at verse 8.
Verse 8, Second Maccabees, chapter 8 and verse 8 in the I'm reading out of the GNT. When Philip, the governor of Jerusalem, realized that Judas was gaining ground little by little and that his victories were becoming more and more frequent, he wrote a letter to Ptolemy, governor of Greater Syria, requesting his help and defending royal interests.
Okay, read on.
Ptolemy immediately appointed Nicanor, son of Patroclus, who was also in the closest circle of the king's friends, and sent him with more than 20,000 troops of various nationalities to wipe out the entire Jew race.
You see that? We always had haters. We always had enemies that wanted to exterminate us, right? Because they know that we are the Most High's chosen. They know that they will be servants and slaves under us. They have to subject themselves to us.
Right. And this also, just to make a point, this is also going into when you look at this on a deeper level, you know, this is what's going to happen in these last days. You know, the nations are going to gather themselves and they're going to try to fight against us. Not try, they are going to fight against us and compass us. Because notice, you know, Nicanor, he's a Greek, right? Because he came out under Ptolemy at that time. Egypt was under Greek rule. And notice also, what does Esau do today? He gathers all the nations under him. He has all nations in his military. Just like then and back then, he gathered all the various nationalities to come up against us.
Reading on. Second Maccabees, chapter 8 and verse 10. I'm reading out of the GNT, just follow along. Right, Second Maccabees, chapter 8 and verse 10.
Finish off, Ptolemy also appointed.
Right, jumping up to verse 9, finishing out. Ptolemy also appointed Gorgias,
Whatever.
a general of wide military experience, to go with him.
Okay.
King Antiochus owed the Romans 150,000 pounds of silver. So I just want to just to explain why he owed this much. So King Epiphanes, his father, right? He went to fight. So you have the Ptolemaic Wars, right? He went in there, right? He tried to mess with Egypt, and he got, they called Rome, and then he got kicked out. You know, and then on top of that, he had because he lost, and he tried to fight against the Romans. You know, he lost, so he put heavy taxes on him. And, you know, to pay those taxes, his father, he tried to,
You can read about this in the Maccabees as well. Do your research. He tried to sack the temples all around the other nations, and his father got killed. And so a big part of the reason why, let the brother in. So a big reason why he owed this money, why he was Antiochus Epiphanes was allowed to be made king of over Syria, was because he told the Romans, hey, if you appoint me, because he was taken as hostage. So because he was taken hostage and he told the Romans, hey, if you guys put me in power, I'll usurp, back me, I'll usurp your authority, and I'm gonna make sure I pay you guys back this money. So that's why he had close friendship with the Romans, right? This is why he was given armies, because he knew, he was like, hey, if I destroy the Jews, right, destroy the Israelites, and I go and take their temple, they have all the money that you guys could want. We had wicked Israelites, snitching and telling what's in our treasury, right? So this is just so you get to understand the background of what's going on there, right? So bring it to the top again. Shalom, how you doing, brother? You have an Apocrypha?
I could just
Yeah.
freestyle. I just got here.
Now you are good. So we're reading out of you want to look up 2nd Maccabees, right? Chapter 8, right? We're reading from verse 10. We're going over the high holy day that's coming up, the destruction of Nicanor.
Yes, sir.
Right? Reading on. Start from the top again. So King Antiochus owed the Romans 150,000 pounds of silver, right? He's got to pay off his father's debt. Nicanor planned to pay off the debt by selling Jewish prisoners as of war as slaves. So did they not, did the so-called white man not do that? To us today, put us in slavery, right? So Nicanor, he had that same spirit, right? Verse 11, so he at once sent word to the towns along the coast, informing them that he would be selling Jews for less than a pound of silver each. But he did not know that the judgment that the Almighty God had in store for him.
All right. So let's go to 2nd Maccabees. 1st Maccabees, chapter 7. We're going to stay in the GNT.
I figured.
Start at verse 26.
7:26.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody there? Everybody con? It's the book of 1st Maccabees, right? It's the book of 1st Maccabees, chapter 7 and verse 26. Then the king sent Nicanor, one of his most honored officers, who hated the Jews, with orders to exterminate them. Nicanor came with a big army. He tried to trick Judas and his brothers by sending peace offers, right? So if you know anything, get a quick precept.
Psalms 55.
You already know, yeah, you in the spirit.
You're still on the GNT?
I'm still in the GNT. Yeah, just follow. That's why I said I'm just reading in the GNT, just so it's clear, so you get the full understanding, right? And notice, right? He said Esau came with peace offerings, right? But it was a trick, right? Right here in Psalms 55 and verse 21, right? The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
Start at verse 20.
Right, verse 20. He hath put forth his hands against such that be at peace with him. He have broken his covenant. Now notice this is a key characteristic of Esau, so-called white man. Think of the tribes of Gad and Reuben, how many covenants and agreements they made with them. They did just to break them. Oh, we'll give you your land if you fight in our war. And then they backstab them, right? This is why, verse 22, verse 21, Salah. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. And I want you to think about this verse, because you know what? What do you put on a sword to make sure it stay a good weapon? You oil your sword, right? That's what you did in those days, Put fresh oil on it, and then you chopped off a damn head. So, their words are likened to oil. They want to coax you, get you nice and comfortable, and then boom, they're going to get you, right? So back to it. And, we don't got to get it, but it tells you in Sirach, You know, never trust thine enemy, man.
That's right.
As iron rusteth, so is his wickedness.
Mm-hmm.
So you would be a damn fool to trust Edomite. You know, you might have an Edomite at your job that's cool with you, but the Lord put that spirit on them. You know, you
just to be cool with you. That's it.
right. Don't think in Jacob's trouble, you know, Billy Bob's gonna help you. Right. So back to it. First Maccabees chapter 7 and verse 27. Nicanor came to Jerusalem with a big army. He tried to trick Judas and his brothers by sending peace officers. He said, there need not be any quarrel between you and me. I will come to you with a small escort for a friendly private conversation.
All right. With that being said, let's go to Proverbs 26 and 25. Proverbs 26, 25. Just to land back, right?
Right.
When he speaketh fair, which he just did, right? Believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart, right? He's thinking of ways to get you by talking sweetly to you, right? By trying to fool you, deceive you. But in the back of his mind, he want to rob you. He want to sell you. He want to sleep with your wife. He want to take your land.
Right.
Right. He wants to be you.
Right. That's why I said 7 abominations. That's the number of completion. So that means there's an innumerable amount of wickedness in his mind. It's innumerous, man. We leave it at that. Back to it. First Maccabees chapter 7 and verse 29. When he came to Judas, they exchanged polite greetings, but Judas' enemies were ready to kidnap him.
See that?
When Judas learned that Nicanor's visit was part of a plot against him, he was afraid and decided not to meet him again. So the thing you got to realize with Judas, right? Judas Maccabeus he had a high level of discernment, right? That's why his father, right? When you read the account, we went over this feast dedication. His father put Judas as the head of the army. He told his brothers, "You follow him," because he knew not only it wasn't just he had great warlike capability, but to be a general, you have to be a sound mind. So you got to understand, that's why, you need to have a strong body. You need to have a strong spirit as well, strong mind. One of the things you should always pray for is discernment, right?
Sure.
Verse 31. Nicanor realized his plan had been discovered, so he left Jerusalem to meet Judas in battle near Kafar Salama.
Yeah.
Salakia. About 500 of Nicanor's men were killed, and the rest of the army escaped to the fort in Jerusalem. Sometime later, Nicanor went to Mount Zion, right? So he's in Jerusalem. He's remember, Mount Zion is also the city of David, right? And if you understand Mount Zion, or the city of David, it's a hill, right? And Jerusalem, it's heavily fortified. It's a stronghold, if it makes sense. It's where you would want to, you were gonna attack or hold your army. That's where you would want to go. Some of the priests left the temple and along with some of the leaders of the people went to welcome him with words of peace to show him that the burnt offering was being sacrificed on behalf of the king. But he ridiculed them and made them ceremonially unclean by spitting on them. He spoke proudly and angrily threatened them with an oath. Unless Judas and his army surrender to me immediately, I will burn this temple down as soon as I return after my victory. And he left in a rage. So you got to understand, man, remember, when you look, there's a reason the Lord put it on the spirit to make this a high holy day, right? Because this is what Esau does now, right? He goes into our temple. Remember, we are the temple, right? We the people. And what he does is he makes us ceremonially unclean, right? Gives you pork, right? Makes you work on the Sabbath, right? And it makes you break all the laws, right? Throw porn in your face. You got doctors, you'll go to the doctor and they'll tell you, yeah, it's healthy to masturbate, right? A doctor will tell you that, man. And make your body all the way unclean, man. Give your daughter birth control at 13, You know, so it's just, there's a lot of ways, you know, you got to look at this deeper than just the history, right? So Nicanor right now, he represents Esau and the other nations, right? How they make us unclean. And what did he say? He said, I will burn this temple down as soon as I return after my victory. Because Esau's whole goal is he wants to destroy us, man. He wants that one world order. But guess what? How are you going to have a world order, right? A one world order, if you got a remnant of people going out in the highways and byways, and every day they tell them, you know, the white man's the devil. You know, so you got to get rid of us, man. Right? Verse 36. The priests went into the courtyard and stood facing the altar and the temple, and they started weeping and prayed. Lord, you chose this temple to bear your name and to be the place of your prayer and intercession for your people. Now take vengeance on this man and his army. Let them die in battle. Remember how they spoke evil of you and let none of them survive. So this is what we should be doing in these last days, man. What does it tell you in Luke 18? Right? Men ought always to pray and faint not. I'm paraphrasing it. But the point is, we supposed to be praying for vengeance in these days, man. You know, if you read Psalms 137, David prayed for vengeance, man. David said he prayed that the same way that they dashed our kids on the rocks and stones, that we get to do the same. And he said that's an honor.
What verse you left off at?
Verse 39.
39. Just jump down to verse 43.
Verse 43. The armies met in battle on the 13th day of the month of Adar, right? And Nicanor's army was defeated. Nicanor himself was the first to be killed in the battle. And that was of the Lord, man. That was of the Lord. Now you give the Lord a hand. That's what's up. Yeah, he was the first one killed. The Lord made sure. That was the Lord. He went into the temple. He talked hot. You got to understand, man. Exodus 15:3 says, the Lord is a man of war. The Lord loves a challenge because the Lord knows he's going to win. You know, that's the greatest humbler in the world, in the universe.
Right.
You know, you think you bad, he's going to show you who bad.
That's the reason why they always trying to take the leader out. Want to take the leader out.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Right, exactly. Because look, verse 44. And when the soldiers saw that he was dead, they threw down their weapons and fled.
See that?
Right? And the Jews pursued them all the day long, from Edessa to Gezer. And they followed, and they kept sounding the call to battle on the trumpets. And all the people from all the surrounding villages of the Judea, people came out and attacked the fleeing army from the sides. This forced them back towards the Jews who were chasing them, and all of the enemy were killed in the fight. Not one of them survived. And this is what we're going to do, man. When the Lord, right, raises us up, right, when we get our spiritual bodies, man, it tells you in Jeremiah, actually, it is in Joel. He says, I'm going to make you I think it's in Isaiah. I'm going to make you a threshing weapon, right, to thresh the nations, right? In Zechariah, it says, I'm going to make Judah my bow. Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
And there you go. Zechariah 12 and verse 8, the water. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David.
You see that? You see how skinny Joshua is? He's going to be big and buff.
Right?
Like David was. Big and buff, like how the Rock, Dwayne Johnson is.
Right? You remember, if you know the acts of David, man, David was a teenager, right? And he killed a bear, right? And a lion for his sheep. Right? He said he was bending bowls of steel with his arms. So imagine you got an army of dudes like David. Everybody, you know, your bench warmer is David. It's deadly, man. Right? And go back to it. And the house of David, right? This is the 144K, right? So the elect, right? The 1/3 are going to be as David, but the 144K and the house of David shall be as God.
As what?
As God, as the angel of the Lord before. So the 144K, man, you're gonna be like Michael, man, and Gabriel and Uriel, man. You know, they're gonna be, you know how Esau get, they're gonna be that one Edomite, and he's not gonna be able to do nothing, man. He's gonna get his head knocked off. Right? I'm coming for you, Doag, in that day.
Read verse 9.
Right? Verse 9. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all nations that come against Jerusalem. So this is what it's saying, right? It's prophetic. When it says, and they fled and we pursued them all the day long, and you gotta think about it. You got some of these rich Edomites nowadays, they got their bunkers, they think it's sweet. They got bunkers under the water, they got like mansions pretty much. And guess what's gonna happen? We not knocking on the door. We kicking the door in, and guess what? If it's either get down or lay down, you're either gonna put these fetters of iron on, or you're gonna meet my sword, right?
Come.
And that's it, right? In verse 47, right back in First Maccabees 7, verse 47, and the Jews took the loot and then cut off Nicanor's head and his right arm, which he had extended so arrogantly.
Say that. Read that again.
And the Jews took the loot and then cut off Nicanor's head and his right arm, which he extended so arrogantly. And they brought his head and his arm to be put on display outside of Jerusalem. So you ever see that picture? Think of what's that Greek myth? I believe it's Perseus and Medusa. You know how they have that famous picture with him holding Medusa's head? That was, man, they get that from us, man. That's what Judas Maccabees did, man. Chopped off his head and held it up and put it to and everyone went crazy, right? And I gotta understand. And they said he cut off his right arm. That's what we're gonna do in these days, right? Your right arm would be your strength. So the Lord, He's gonna cut down, the economic system of Esau, the military. Your right arm symbolizes power, right? Does not Yahweh Shah, Christ, sit at the right hand of God, right? Doesn't He always say? He says, "By my right hand, I will save you." Meaning, I'm gonna send my son, right? That's why we brought this out before. That's where that saying comes from. He says, "This is my right hand man." Symbolizes, this is my person, I always go to. So we're going to destroy their power, right? We're going to completely decimate them. They're going to be brought to the same mistake we're in, because they cut off our right arm. They cut us off from our nationality, from God and our commandments. Isn't it only right that we do the same? Right? In verse 48, and there was great rejoicing among the Jews, and they set that day as a special day of celebration, and decreed that the 13th day of Adar should be observed as an annual day of celebration. And there was peace in the land of Judea for a little while. So that's why we celebrate. This was the Lord delivering us, right? Because we know that the strength of battle is through the hands of the Lord. It tells you in give me Psalms, I believe it's 33. Psalms 33. Yeah, Psalms 33 and verse 16. Psalms 33 and verse 16. Right? The book of Psalms, chapter 33 and verse 16. There is no king saved by the multitude of an host. A mighty man is not delivered by much strength. And the horse is a vain thing for safety. Neither shall he deliver any by his great strength. Behold, the eye of the Lord is upon them that fear him, upon them that hope in his mercy, to deliver their soul from death, to keep them alive in famine. Our soul waited for the Lord. He is our help and our shield. So you got to understand, it's even in these last days, we could try to, set up things, and not to say, you don't prepare, be ready. But at the end of the day, it's the Lord that's going to deliver you, right? And that's why even before the battle, right, they didn't just, when Nicanor popped off, they didn't just, immediately go out to battle. No, man, first thing foremost they did was they prayed to the Most High, right? And asked to deliver us, Lord, avenge us, right? Because even David knew that in Psalms 18, he calls the Lord my buckler, my fortress, my tower, my sword, my shield. So this we got to remember, before you do anything, you call on the name of the Lord and ask him, make a way for me.
right?
Let's go to second Mac.
Psalms 22 and 16.
Psalms 33 and verse 16.
Let's go to second Maccabees 14. I just want to give a little bit more background between the relationship between Nicanor and Judas. Second Maccabees 14, we're gonna read 26 to 33. 20, yeah, you can read 26.
All right, give me a calm when everybody is there. This is the book of Second Maccabees, right? Chapter 14 and verse 26. Should I start it actually? Should I start at verse 23?
No, read verse 26. Just time.
When Alchemists noticed how well Nicanor and Judas were getting along, he obtained a copy of the treaty and went to see King Demetrius. He told the king that Nicanor was disloyal to the government because he appointed the traitor Judas to be his successor. These false accusations infuriated the king, and in his anger he wrote to Nicanor, informing him that he was dissatisfied with the treaty and ordered him to arrest Judas Maccabeus and to send him to Antioch at once. So at first when they met, they made a covenant with each other and agreed, and they were at peace. You know, this is prophetic. You know, at first, Esau and Jacob, they were cool with each other. And then once power came into play, as they grew, there was division. Right? Verse 28, when this message reached Nicanor, he was hurt and he didn't know what to do because he did not like having to break an agreement with a man who had kept his part of the bargain. Yet it was impossible for him to ignore the king's commandment. So he began looking for a way to trap Judaeus, right? And in this instance, prophetically, you got to remember the Esau, they bowed down to Satan. So when Satan puts that order in, go against Israel, go against, destroy them. Even though we keep up our end of the bargain, right? We do what we're supposed to do. Think about in terms of history. We fight in their wars, we build their economy. And don't they still destroy us, turn against us? Right? Verse 30, Judas, however, noticed that Nicanor was becoming hostile and rude towards him. And he knew that this was a bad sign. So he gathered a large number of his followers and went into hiding. Again, this is showing you Judas was he had a high level of discernment. Right? He didn't wait for Nicanor to pull a sword into his neck and kill him. Right? Sometimes, you got to wake up and smell the coffee. Right? Verse 31. When Nicanor realized that Judas had outsmarted him, he went to the great holy temple at the time when the priests were offering sacrifice and ordered them to surrender Judas to him. But the priests declared under oath that they had no idea where Judas was hiding. Then Nicanor raised his right hand in the direction of the temple and made a solemn threat. If you do not hand Judas over to me as a prisoner, I will level God's temple to the ground, demolish this altar, and on this spot build a glorious temple to Dionysus. So this Dionysus, right? That is the Greek god of wine, revelry, and fornication.
Another word for him is Bacchus.
Right. You'll see him exactly. Thank you. You'll see him under the name Bacchus as well. So you got to understand this was Antiochus Epiphanes prayed very heavily, and so did the Greeks, to the god Dionysus. Right. So understand when he pointed his arm at the temple and he made that threat and said, I'm going to destroy this temple and put a new god there, that wasn't just a threat to Israel. He was directly sending out a challenge to the Most High. Because he's saying, I'm going to destroy your temple, the place where your spirit dwells, and I'm going to put an idol there of fornication and defile the land. Because that's how you celebrated. You brought in, your Bacchus celebration, your Dionysus celebration. Did it through sex, fornication, drunk, lewdness, woman, homosexual acts.
It's just like back in now, Mardi Gras.
There you go.
The
Carnival,
Freaknik.
There you go.
Just like that. You know what I'm saying?
What Juve?
That's us.
Yeah. Benji, yeah.
But that's where there's no new thing under the sun.
Mhm.
You know, that's what that spirit on the earth, you see it's still alive. You know, that's why people, you know, they want to, you know, drink a bottle of Hennessy and then all of a sudden, you know, they got a baby.
Did they say they got Mardi Gras last night or something like that before last night on Long Street?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, for real. I didn't know that too.
Know
They
that.
got Mardi Gras in Albany. Yeah.
Right?
It was on the news. That's how I know about it.
That's crazy.
Damn.
Long Street, right over there, man. Huh?
Second Maccabees 15.
Cold.
That's the last place. Second Maccabees 15, verse 25, and all that.
So like, what verse we ended at?
We ended at 33.
All right, so now we're going to Second Maccabees 15 and what?
Verse 25.
All right, give me a con, everybody, when you're there. 15 and 25. Second Maccabees chapter 15 and verse 25. Right. It's the book of Second Maccabees chapter 15 and verse 25. Nicanor and his army moved forward to the sound of trumpets and battle songs. But Judas and his men went into battle, calling on God for help.
And spiritually, in these times, that's what we need to do. When we going through our troubles, when we going through our trials, right? We shouldn't depend on man to help us, right? We shouldn't depend on the bottle to help us. We shouldn't depend on no drugs. We got to call upon the Lord for help. Read on.
Right. Verse 27. So by fighting with their hands and praying to God in their hearts, the Jews killed more than 35,000 of the enemy. How grateful were they for the help they had received from God? So you got to understand, we were also outnumbered in this. You had men with Maccabees. Remember we went over with in the Feast of Dedication. You had men who never fought before in a war, but the Lord put that spirit on them. You know, now all of a sudden they catching bodies. You know, he never held the spear before. Now all of a sudden, you know, he throwing it like a javelin. Exactly. So this is prophetic. This is where it goes into where it said, the feeble among you will be as David. You know, in that day, you know, Lord willing, we all make it, we get our spiritual bodies. You know, you're not gonna have to go to the boxing gym or the dojo and learn how to fight. No, man, it's gonna be in you already, man. You know, you're gonna get that sword in your hand, and you're gonna be all those. Jet Li's not gonna be able to do nothing to you. Jackie Chan, none of them, man. You're gonna be doing moves better than them.
When we watched the cartoon, like somebody hit them like this.
Yeah, that's exactly what's gonna happen.
Drop the spear, fall.
That's what's gonna happen, man. Right, verse 28. When the battle was over, they were going home celebrating their victory. They noticed Nicanor in full armor lying dead on the battlefield. Then with loud shots, they praised the Lord in their native language. It was Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shah, man. Kwam Yahshua. It was hype. Judas Maccabeus, who had always fought with all his body and soul for his own people, never losing the patriotism of his youth, ordered his men to cut off Nicanor's head and right arm to take with them to Jerusalem. When they arrived in the city, he called all the people together and stationed the priests before the altar and sent for the men in the fort. And he showed them the head of the evil Nicanor and the arm which that wicked man had arrogantly stretched out against the sacred temple of the Almighty God. Then they cut out the tongue of that godless man, promising to feed it bit by bit to the birds to hang his head up on the opposite of the temple as evidence of what foolishness did for him. And that's what's going to happen. You know, it tells you in Revelations that there's going to be a great feast for the crows when Yahweh Shah does a lot of killing. He comes back. You know, he's going to literally go to the crows and tell them to feast, right? Eat the flesh of kings and princes, right? We're not going to get it, but the point is, this is all prophetic. You know, we're gonna the dead body. There's gonna be a lot of killing, man, in that Valley of Jehoshaphat, right? We read it in Second Esdras 13. Yahweh Shah is gonna kill them in an instant. And it's not, and the crows are gonna feast. All praises.
What verse you left on?
Verse 30. I'm at verse 34.
Okay.
Everyone there looked up to heaven and praised the Lord, who had revealed his power and had kept his temple from being defiled. Judas hung Nicanor's head from the wall of the fort as clear proof to everyone of the Lord's help. By unanimous vote, it was decided this day would never be forgotten, but would be celebrated each year on the eve, meaning the day before Mordecai's day, that is Purim, which is the 13th day of the 12th month, called Adar in Aramaic, right, in the Hebrew. That's how things turned out for Nicanor. The city of Jerusalem remained in the possession of the Jews from that time on. So I will end my story here. So that's that. And just that custom of you got to remember also David, when he slew Goliath, he cut Goliath's head off and he raised it up as well. So that was a custom, and it was just the same thing with Goliath. He he blasphemed against the Most High and his people. And guess what? The Lord, he sent David to go deal with him. Right? He got humbled, the same way Nicanor got humbled. Right? So all praises.
So that's basically the destruction of Nicanor, in a nutshell. So if you want to get into more of it, read again First Maccabees chapter 7, the whole thing. First Maccabees 8, 1 through 29, and Second Maccabees 14th chapter and the 15th chapter. So after the destruction of Nicanor ends, and then we got the Feast of Purim, right? So it will be 3 days of celebration. So time is against us, but the Feast of Purim, you got to read the whole book of Esther in the Bible, and then the rest of Esther that's in the Apocrypha. You got to read the whole thing.
We could just sum it up real quick. Go to Esther 9.
Yeah.
Esther 9, just so you know the reason.
So basically,
We just get.
yeah, I'm just gonna summarize it. So it's basically Esther, Queen Esther, a Benjamite. She was chosen as the queen of King Ahasuerus
Or Xerxes.
in the movie 300, right? He chose her as his wife. He didn't know he was a Jew, right? Or she was a Jew. So that so you'll know that the Persians was also dark skinned, the Jews were also dark skinned. Just to want to make that point. So basically it was the Lord's doing for him to choose her as the queen, because his right hand man, Haman, which is a Edomite, Agagite.
He was from Macedonia, and it tells you that he was an Agagite. So he was descended from the kings of Amalek.
Right.
Read about that.
Xerxes, man?
Yeah. So just so you get the background. So at that time, what had going on was the Persian Greco Wars. And so essentially what they did was, they sent Haman in there to, usurp your authority and kind of destroy it from the inside. That's why Haman, he rose up and he was second, only to the king Xerxes.
Get just to prove that, get Esther 3 verse 10
And Apocrypha or
in the Bible.
this is Book of Esther, right? You're gonna find it right after Nehemiah, right before Job. Esther chapter 3 and verse 10.
Mhm.
And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy.
You see that? Agagite, right?
So-
Remember that, Agagite. You got a point, guy.
So just to prove who the Agagites were,
I'm about to do that right now.
1 Samuel 15,
Yeah.
and Spirit
1 Samuel 15.
32.
Start at verse 8,
Verse 8.
and then jump to verse 31 and 32.
Now this is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 15 and verse 8. Then he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites. Now who is the Amalekites today?
Joe.
Who are the Amalekites today? Who is Amalek today?
These are people, Jewish.
Right, the people in our land right now.
Jewish.
Right, those, but their real name, right, their biblical name, they are Amalek. So they're Edomites, but their tribe is Amalek. Just like we're all Israel, but we come from different tribes.
right? So their specific tribe, they're Amalek.
Samuel 15 and 8.
1 Samuel 15 and verse 8. Right? And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive and utterly destroyed the people with the edge of the sword. But Saul and the
Jump
people,
down to verse 31 and 32.
verse 31. So Samuel turned after Saul, and Saul worshiped the Lord. So Saul was supposed to kill all of Amalek, but he did. He spared Amalek. He spared Agag and didn't kill. He's supposed to destroy everything. But Saul, he didn't follow that order. Saul went off. Right? Verse 32. Then Samuel said, bring hither to me Agag, the king of the Amalekites. And Agag came to him delicately. And Agag said, surely the bitterness of death is past. He came to him, he tried to, break bread with him. He's like, you killed all my army, so, everything's good, right? Let's see what Samuel said. And Samuel said, as thy sword have made woman childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. And Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before the Lord in Gilgal. So Samuel cut his ass in pieces. So that was, so it's not a new thing that, that Judas Maccabees did, man. He was in the spirit, right?
All right. So basically, Haman was our villain. He hated Mordecai because Mordecai wouldn't bow down to him, right? Because we don't bow down to no man, right? We only bow down to praise to the Most High and the Son, right? Through His Son.
You want to get that?
Yeah.
I'm here. That's right.
Right, bring it up.
Right. So this is book of Esther, chapter 3, and verse. I'm gonna start at the top. After these things, the king Ahasuerus, right, or Xerxes, promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. And the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. So understand, this is again prophetic. Haman represents Esau. Mordecai represents the elect. The elect aren't going to bow down to the image of the beast. We're not going to follow the philosophies. We're not going to do what the white man says. We're not going to commit his sin. Right? And then,
That's it on that?
yeah, that's it. Actually, we'll read on. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandment? Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew. So this just like today, you're not going to go to work. Your mom called you, so you're not going to come to Christmas. You're not going to come to your little sister's birthday party. And you're going to tell them, well, I'm an Israelite. I can't do that. And they're going to look at you strange. They're going to be mad at you because you're transgressing the king's commandment.
Read to verse 6.
Right? And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, neither did him reverence, then Haman was full of wrath, and he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone. For he had showed him the people of Mordecai, whether Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Artaxerxes, even the people of Mordecai.
Right. Read verse 8 and 9.
Verse 8. Then Haman said unto the king Artaxerxes, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of the kingdom.
Right, just like today, we scattered throughout the whole 4 quarters of the earth. Read on.
And their laws are diverse from all people.
Right, we don't celebrate Easter. We celebrate what? The Passover. We don't celebrate Christmas. We celebrate the destruction. The Feast of Dedication. Right. We don't celebrate our birthdays. We celebrate the new moon every month. Right. We don't eat pork. We don't like shrimp. Right. We're not going to spending our money on the Super Bowl. We're not spending our money on Valentine's Day. We're not spending our money on none of these wicked holidays. We casting down the Sunday church. We're not dealing with the Muslims, right? We're against this whole world, right?
Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed.
Right. Why did he want to destroy us? Because we against the policies of today we're against the policies of America. Just like Haman. Just like our forefather Mordecai and the Jews back then, we against those wicked heathens, man. They're profane. They're unclean. They're ungodly, right? Read on.
If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have charge of the business to bring it into the king's treasury. So this is just like the other nations, you know. The other nations, they're in agreement with Esau. You know, let's destroy them. Let's scatter them. Let's do this. You know what they say? Well, all right, that's cool, man. You know, so it's wicked.
Right. Let's go to I wish we had time to read this whole thing. The whole thing is fire.
You can go more into it next week. That's all. Go more into it next week.
Read.
Oh, I know what I want. Actually, let's read verse 12.
Of what?
4 and
What chapter?
actually, yeah, let's just read on. Actually, so verse in the same chapter, verse 3 and verse 12.
Hold on, wait. Read. Matter of fact, just go to Esther chapter 8.
Yeah.
Start at verse 11, right? Yeah, just start at verse 11. Yeah. Okay.
The book of Esther, chapter 8 and verse 11, wherein the king granted Jews which were in every city to gather themselves to stand for their lives, to destroy and slay and to cause to perish all the power of the people, and the providence would assault them, both the little ones and the women, and to take the spoil take the spoil of them for a prey. Upon one day in all the provinces, the king Artaxerxes, namely upon the 12th month, the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all the people, that the Jews should be ready against the day to avenge themselves on their enemies. So Haman's counsel got turned to naught, you know, because Purim, right? That word pure means the casting of lots, right? So they cast lots for us, and if it came on the day that we assigned as Purim, that was going to be the day that we were going to be destroyed, right? And when it was found out, Mordecai, right, and all of Israel, they fasted and prayed, right? And so did Esther, right?
What's that meaning again?
Purim means lots, right? So they cast lots, right? So that was, you know, our lot was to be saved, and Haman's lot was to be destroyed. Just like prophetically, Esau's lot is to be destroyed, and our lot is to get the kingdom.
Right. Let's just prove that. Go to Esther 10. Dishes of Esther in your Apocrypha. Dishes of Esther. Chapter 10. Right here. Start at verse 9. We're gonna read the whole thing.
Right. This is the book of the editions of Esther, chapter 10 and verse 9.
Hold on, everybody there? Almost there?
Right. So it's the editions of Esther, right? Chapter 10 and verse 9. And my nation is this Israel, which cried to God and were saved. For the Lord hath saved his people, and the Lord hath delivered us from all those evils. And God hath wrought signs and great wonders, which have not been done among the Gentiles.
Right. So why is these people saying Gentiles could be saved? The Lord never did anything for them but destroyed them. Read on.
Right. And this is the point right here. Therefore, he hath made 2 lots.
He made 2 different lots, right?
Right. One for the people of God,
Israel,
and another for all the Gentiles. And these 2 lots came at the hour and time and day of judgment before God among all nations.
Mhm.
So God remembered his people and justified his inheritance.
God what?
Justified his inheritance.
God remembered his people, not all people, and justified his inheritance, which is Israel, right?
Right.
Read verse 13.
Verse 13. Therefore, those days shall be unto them in the month Adar,
and the 14th and 15th day of the same month, with an assembly and joy and with gladness before God, according to the generations, forever among his people. So, what you got to understand, this is prophetic, right? Mordecai, you read in addition to Esther, the first chapter, Mordecai saw a vision, and it was prophetic of what's going to happen in that time of Purim, but it's also prophetic of what's going to happen to us in these last days, right? And this is why it's important to know you are Israel, because guess what? Our people, who pass us by, they don't understand. They're taking Esau's lot, which is for destruction, right? When really you should be repenting, right? And you should be going for your lot you're supposed to have, right? The lot of Israel, to be delivered, to be saved, right? Got it.
Go back to Esther 8.
Esther 8.
That's where
Yeah, we were.
right.
Excuse me. Verse 14. So the posts that rode upon mules, all right, I'm back in the Bible. I'm back in Esther chapter 8. I'm reading at verse 14. I'm back in Esther in the Bible, verse 14. So the posts that rode upon mules and camels went out, being hastened and pressed by the king's commandment, and a decree was given at Shushan the palace. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel, blue and white, with a crown, with a great crown of gold and purple, and a garment of fine linen and purple. And the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad. So in this parable, this story is parabolic. In this case, Xerxes is figurative of the Most High, or Yahweh Shah, because he's going to give judgment and give us our crowns, right? You read about that in Second Esdras in the last verses, right? So this is all prophetic. And that Shushan, the people rejoicing, that's going to be the city of Israel. We're going to rejoice, right? Seeing ourselves get delivered. We're going to laugh, cry. We're going to celebrate, right? And the Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor. And in every province and every city, whatsoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. So that's just, it tells you in Zechariah, the nations are going to cleave to us, man. And eventually, this whole world is going to be keeping the laws of God. They're not going to have no choice. There's not going to be no more Buddha in those days. There's not going to be no more, did you take your Hajj, Ishmael? No, man. It's going to be, yo, man, are you ready for Feast of Tabernacles? Are you ready for the new moon? You got your fringes on? Because everyone's going to be keeping this law, whether you like it or not. And if you go against it, man, there's going to be judgment, man. You're going to get your lot.
Go to Esther chapter 9, verse 16. We're going to read the rest.
The book of Esther, chapter 9 and verse 16. You sure don't want to start at 14?
16.
Come on. But the book of Esther, chapter 9 and verse 16. But the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together and stood for their lives and had rest from their enemies, and slew of their foes 75,000, but they laid their hands not on the prey. So they killed them, but they didn't take their stuff. They just got recompense and vengeance. Because remember, the Haman had told everybody, on this day we're gonna go and kill everybody, but that was turned to naught. Right? Verse 17. On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested they, and they made it a day of feasting and gladness. But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th thereof, and on the 15th day of the same they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day of sending portions one to another. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Artaxerxes, both nigh and far. Right? So he sent letters to everybody scattered,
to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly, and the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and sending portions and gifts to the poor. And that's what we do. We on the street, man. We give out portions and gifts. Giving the truth to people is the greatest gift you can give. Calling each other, right? Giving each other breakdowns, waking each other up. Don't look at it so carnally, and just, oh man, you give a brother a gift, but there's spiritual things, share your spiritual gifts with one another. You know what I'm saying? Verse 23, and the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them, because Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them, and had cast pur, that is the lot. That's what I mean. That's how you know pur means a lot, right? They cast a lot. That's why the holiday is called Purim, right? To consume them and to destroy them. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return on his own head, that he and his son should be hanged on the gallows. So this is prophetic again, because we're not just going to do away with Esau, we're going to do away with all of them, right? There's not going to be no sons or daughters, right? You read prove that with Psalms 137, prove that with Isaiah 14 and 21, and I believe it's Job 18 to Job 20, where it says, we're going to destroy his whole line. There's not going to be no one to raise up seed. Verse 26, whereof they called these days Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore, for all the words of this letter and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, which had come unto them, the Jews ordained and took upon them and upon their seed and upon all that has joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writing and according to their appointed time every year, that it should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every providence, and every city, that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them that perish from their seed. So this is a commandment, right? This is of the Lord. The Lord put that spirit on us, on them to, hey, make this a high holy day. So you all throughout the Bible, you see high holy days get added to the Bible. So, Yahweh Shah, Christ, he kept Purim, right? Because this is prophetic of our deliverance, right? Verse 29, then Esther the queen, the daughter of Abihail, and Mordecai the Jew, wrote with all authority to confirm the second letter of Purim. And he sent letters to all the Jews to the 127 provinces of King Artaxerxes with words of peace and truth, to confirm these days of Purim and their times appointed, according to Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had enjoined them, as they had decreed for themselves, for their seed, the matters of fasting and their cry. And the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in a book. So understand, even with the sisters, to understand this story, this is the story of how Esther delivered us. The Lord used her to deliver us, but she did that by acting as a woman. Had she took up a sword and, tried to slay Haman, we wouldn't have got delivered. She did it in decency and order.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right? She didn't. She did it as a wife. She didn't go to Haman. She didn't go to Artaxerxes, the King Xerxes, and demand, you save my people. The same way, we have to come correctly to the Lord. We got to keep our temple clean. We got to fast. We got to pray. And we have to ask for mercy and let the Lord do judgment. It's not going to happen on our time. It's going to happen on the Lord's time. That's like if you read like in Judges, with Jael, when the Lord used her to deliver Israel, right? When the king was fleeing to her tent, again, she didn't come to the dude with a sword. She came to him as a comely woman. And then when the time was right, she did what she had to do through the Lord. So, this is just to you women of Israel. Yes, you do have a role, but you got to move in decency and order.
and the portion that the Lord gave you. You're not a man. It's not your role to take up sword and, you know, try to take charge. It's not how Esther delivered the nation. You know, she did it by being a comely woman.
So he cheated her. He chose her.
He chose. So what happened was, we're not for the sake of time, but his King Xerxes or Artaxerxes, he had a wife, and he commanded her, you know, like, you know, you got a beautiful wife, you know, you wanted to show her off. You know, it's my wife, beautiful, and she rejected his command.
Queen Vashti.
Right, Queen Vashti. And you know, when she did that, you know, he cast her aside after that, and he needed a new wife. And then, you know, there was like a beauty pageant essentially, and Esther was chosen. You know, when he saw her, you know, he favored her, and you know, he was like, I'm gonna take her, because Mordecai, she was Mordecai's
Niece.
it was his niece, right? So he was taking care of her, but when she got, you know, when the king picked her, he had told her, yo, don't reveal that you're a Jew, because he worked in the king's gate, so he was working in the castle, so you know, he didn't mind it, but you know, because he could keep his eye on her and make sure things were good with her. But you know, at the same time, you know, she did what she had to do, but the Lord had put her in that place because he knew what was going to happen, right? Someone get the door.
Just like how he put Joseph in Egypt, right?
Exactly like that. You know, the Lord sets things up, right? You got a point?
Yeah, so that's it. That was just really just basic history, nothing too deep. All right. Anybody got any questions?
So her being in that position, it stopped him from conquering us.
Essentially, so what happens is, right? So we just get it real quick. So
So if you listen to it too,
Go to where she came to him.
right, that's what I'm looking for. Right, so just so you get the context, right? So
Got it?
yeah, so just to explain it. So what happened is, right? Someone had made an attempt on King Xerxes' life, and Mordecai had he had told, when he found out of the plot, you know, he told he had told the king of the matter, right? He told the king of the matter, and it was recorded in a book. So Haman, you know, while this is going on, right? I'm gonna read it right here. Esther chapter 6 and verse 1. On that night, the king could not sleep, and he commanded to bring the books of records of the chronicles that were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told Bigthana and Teresh, the two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the king's door, who sought to lay hand on King Artaxerxes. So he already, you know, found out, oh, Mordecai's an honorable man and tried to save my life. You know, not try, he did save my life. Then, you know, Esther, you know, he fasted. Esther, she fasted. But what winds up happening is, right, when Haman had put that decree out, right, and he found out, Mordecai, he let Esther know, you got to do something, right? Right here in Esther 4 and verse, I'm going to start at verse 7. Yeah, verse 7. And Mordecai told him all that had happened with the sum of the money that Haman promised to pay the king's treasuries for the Jews to destroy them. And he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go into the king and make supplication unto him, and to make a request before her for her people. And Haach came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Again, Esther, right? This Haach was like her maid, you know. So that was like, you know, using her as a mediator to give the messages, right? Again, Esther spake unto Haach and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. And the king's servants and the people of the province do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come into the king's court, unto the inner court, which is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except to such whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live, but have not been called to come into the king these 30 days. So there was an ordinance with King Xerxes where You know, you got to remember Xerxes in this parable, in this story, is a similitude for the Most High. You know, you can't just walk up to the Most High on his throne and, you know, oh, yo, it was good. How about you? No, man, you died. You know, that's just like in the days of Moses. You couldn't go into the holies of holies. Only Aaron was allowed to go into that. You know, and if you went in there and eat that, please. And if you go into and if you went into the tabernacle and you touched the Ark of the Covenant, which was a similitude of the Lord's throne, you died. So, you know, you can't just run up on the Lord. And it was the same thing because there's order, right? And they told Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded answer to Esther, think not thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. So he's telling her, remember, you're one of us. You know, if they start killing us, you think they're not going, you're going to slip up. You know, one of those days, you know, you're going to have some pork. You're going to, oh no, I don't want no pork. They're going, you Jew, and then you're going to die. And that's just like prophetically in these days. You know, don't think, you know, that you could hide out. They know you are Israel. So, you know, if you just stay unrepented and you try to hide out and you think it's sweet, no, you're going to get found out and you're going to die. Right? And this is what he was telling them. Right? For thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then there shall enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such as this time? Right? Then Esther bade them to return Mordecai this answer. Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, neither eat nor drink 3 days. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and I will not go unto the king, and I will go in unto the king, which is according to thy law. And if I perish, I perish. So she took the charge that she was supposed to take. You know, and that's what we got to do. You know, you got to have the mentality, if I die, I die. You know, if they kill me on the street for preaching this word, you know, they put me in a FEMA camp, this, that, and the third. You got to take that, man. You know, you got to deal with it, because at the end of the day, the Lord's going to see, you know, you putting in this pain, putting in that work. Right? So you could read Esther's prayer in the editions of Esther and her fast, but just so we get to the point. Now it came to pass on the 3rd day that Esther put on her royal apparel, right? And Esther, she fasted greatly. You know, she put dung on her head. She made herself very low and humbled herself greatly before the Lord. Now it came to pass on the 3rd day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house over against the king's house, and the king sat on his royal throne and the royal house over against the gate of the house. Right? And it was so, when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. So this is, you know, she this is what I mean by she came to him as a woman in decency and order, right? She put on her royal clothes, right? Smelled good, fixed her hair up. And when the king saw her, come on, what are you doing? You know, that's like, your brothers with a rib, you understand. You know, your wife, she come dressed appropriately, deal with you. You know, she's been a good wife. She hasn't been nagging you. She's been cleaning, taking care of the child. You're going to be more inclined to open your ear and listen to her. And it's prophetically with Israel, right? If we, remember, the Most High is likened to us as a husband. So if we keep the charge, keep the commandments, right, do as we do, we're supposed to do as we're charged, the Most High is going to hold out that scepter to us and hear our prayer and supplication, right? Then said the king unto her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther? What is thy request? It shall be given unto thee to the half of the kingdom. Right? And Esther answered, if it seemed good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet I have prepared for him. And then she set up this scenario where, you know, she put Haman on blast, and, you know, and she revealed to the king and made the request that, you know, Haman's trying to kill Mordecai and my people. You know, do unto him as he's going to do unto us. And he heard, and her prayer was heard. Right? And this is, you know, and this is to show you also prophetically that Haman, right, or anything that, you know, any of the nations, especially Esau, tries to do against us, it's always going to fail. Right? Right here in Esther 6 and verse 13. Right? Because
Haman and his little gaggle, Haman had wise men, sorcerers, warlocks, and all the like trying to rise up against us. But it tells you right here in Esther 6 and verse 13, right? And Haman told Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends everything that had befallen him. Because you read earlier in this chapter, remember I told you he found out that Mordecai, saved him, but they didn't do anything for him. So he actually, let's just get the account, right? Just read on, right? We good on time?
I was gonna say salad here. I got refreshments over here. Apples, some sun chips, and some.
Let's get to the point.
Some loaves of bread.
Yeah, let's get right. Get to the point. Right. 6 and 13. And Haman told Zeresh, his wife, and his friends everything that had befallen him, right? Because he literally had to take Mordecai and give him his royal coat and the king's horse and parade him around and give him honors. He was tight. So he's home, he's complaining, man, Jews got me again, and this, that, and the third, and those, I would have gotten away for it wasn't for those kids, right? Right. Then he said his wise men and Zeresh, his wife, unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shall surely fall before him. And now it's prophetic. Esau, no matter what they do, man, they're gonna fail. Right? You got to think about it. How much have they done to destroy us as a people, to separate us from our nationality? And look where we are today, back in this Bible and these laws, statutes, and commandments, repenting. So these holidays are about repentance and deliverance and humbling ourselves before the Lord and remembering He is the Redeemer, He is the Comforter, and that Spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, right? The Spirit of the Most High God and His Son Christ. That's what's gonna save us, man, in these last days, man. So we gotta lean on. Got it.
Right. Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, I do. You said dung, right?
Yeah.
What's that again?
Poop.
Poop shit.
Yes.
Manure.
Yes, right out the butt.
Is there an account for that?
It does. They don't give the account of where it came. It's not so much. Don't focus so much on where it came from, right? But the point was she humbled herself. That was the point. The same way that you could be in the highest state in this world, but when you come before the Lord, Solomon had to humble himself, man. And who was greater than Solomon?
Right. But with the same thing, like the same way.
No, but the point is, you humble yourself before the Lord.
David got to humble himself too.
There's not a king on this earth. You got to remember, when you're praying to literally the creator of the universe, right? The Most High God. So when you're doing your prayers, you got to remember, when she was fasting and praying, she humbled herself greatly. That's why you read in the scriptures, that's the whole point of putting ashes upon your head. That's not something good for your hair or something you put on you're not going to walk around with ashes on your head. You go on a date with a girl. That's an act of humbling. So you're making yourself low as you are in the sight of the Most High. You're not coming with pride. You're not coming with your riches because you understand you're begging, you're pleading to the Lord. Help me, save me, deliver me. That's all.
All right. Before I end, I just want to give some exhortations for motivation because I know that throughout the week and when we're not together, sometimes we get devilish thoughts, right? We get plagues of the mind. It could be, I'm just throwing it out there. It could be suicide, right? It could be problems with your wife, right? Or problems with the girl that you courting, right? You have thoughts of not being worthy of the kingdom, right? You could be having thoughts of even cursing your brothers or even cursing the Most High, right? You could have doubt about not staying in this truth and not enduring in this truth, right? You could have thoughts of vanity, concupiscence, lust, right? Grudges, jealousy, envy, and hatred, right? So to combat these things, right, we have to apply this scripture. Get wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, start at verse 16.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. I was just reading that. This week. It's fire. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha, chapter 6 and verse 16. For she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her.
Right, so the she is wisdom, right? And if she is wisdom, right, we have to treat wisdom as if we want to marry her, as we want to dwell with her together forever, right? Wisdom is the baddest joint you could ever think of, right? Wisdom is the most prettiest, most beautiful, most curviest woman there is. Read on.
She showeth herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought.
Wait, what she do?
She meeteth them in every thought.
Right, wisdom is gonna meet you in every thought. When you think about going off, when you think about this or think about that, you should have the law, right? You should have the prophecies of salvation pop into your mind, right? Read on.
For she goeth about, 17. For the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline.
Right, so wisdom is discipline, right? We have to discipline ourselves, right? We have to focus. Read on.
And the care of discipline is love.
And the care of the discipline is love. And what is love? Read on.
And love is the keeping of her laws.
So love is the keeping of her laws. If you love wisdom, that means you want to discipline yourself. And we discipline ourselves by the law. Right? Read on.
And giving heed unto her laws is assurance of incorruption.
So you, by keeping a law, you're for certain, it's going to be for certain that you won't corrupt your mind. Right? Read on.
And incorruption maketh us near unto God.
And what?
And incorruption maketh us near unto God.
Right? Who doesn't want to be near God? Especially in these last days. Right? Read on.
Therefore, the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom.
So wisdom will bring the kingdom. Right? Read on.
If your delight be then in thrones and scepters.
If you want to be a king, if you want to have rulership, if you want to have servants, peasants, right? If you want to have the nations under us, you want to have your knee and your foot on their neck, you have to desire wisdom, right? We have to learn these laws. We have to keep these laws. We have to teach these laws by example and by teaching, going out on the highways, the streets, doing flyer missions and whatnot, doing outreach, right? Calling brothers, right? Dropping a little jewels here and there. You know what I'm saying? Read on.
O ye kings of the people.
Right. We're kings. He just said, "Oh, you kings." Read on.
Honor wisdom, that ye may reign forevermore. For as wisdom, what she is and how she came up, I will tell you and will not hide mysteries from you, but seek her out from the beginning of her nativity and bring knowledge of her into light, and will not pass over the truth.
Right. So with that, that's how you can battle these thoughts, right? These devilish thoughts. That's what it is. Just devilish, wicked thoughts, mortal thoughts. It happens to everybody. We all human, but there's ways to fight this thing. You know what I'm saying? It says in Hebrews 4:15. Get that real quick. Hebrews 4:14. Right?
17, right? For the thing. Wisdom.
Hebrews 4 and verse 14. There's no 17.
Yeah, Matthew chapter 6 and what, verse
16. 16 and down. And wisdom of Solomon. Right? This is the book of Hebrews, right? Chapter 4 and verse 14. Let me wait till you bring it up. Seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed into the heavens.
We have not a high priest which cannot be touched.
Oh, you want 15?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You said 14. It's a lot. Verse 15. For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with feelings of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted like as we were, yet without sin.
You see that? Yahweh Shai, right? The Black Messiah. He was tempted just like we was. He probably had the same thoughts as we have, but he did not sin because he was strong in the Lord, right? He applied wisdom. As wisdom is like your wife. Wisdom is like the only thing, you know what I mean? And you need is nurturing, right? It's the milk, right? It's the water and during the drought, right? It's that tasty cheeseburger when you're going hungry, man. Right? wisdom is all we need in these last days. And also, you gotta be wise, right? If you is going through something, make sure you contact your brothers, man. Pick up the phone, man. You need help. You can't do this alone. 2 is better than 1, and 3 is better than 2. Right? Anybody got any comments, questions, concerns?
That was Hebrew. Right?
4 and 15. Right, especially in these last days, Satan is working, man. Overtime, double overtime, man. He's working right now.
Right. Oh yeah, just so brothers know, brother Brian right here, man.
Whenever I go through situations and I get upset, I go in the room and I listen to scripture. It fixes me every time.
That's right.
I tell people that too. Anytime, just go pray, go listen to scripture.
That's right.
And now I'm reading it, and that's just confirmation of me to the Holy Spirit. That's how I feel.
That's it. Like, for just another acknowledge, you know how wisdom is like a woman, right? When you, just like you said, you going through it, man. Your woman, what women do, man? Rub your back, give you a little nice massage, give you some kisses, some neck, some necky, right? Some goodie. That's what wisdom was gonna do.
Some brothers just got wisdom.
You know what I'm saying? But with that, I want to say, Shalom. I want to give all honor and glory and praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Any questions, hit the email, hit the number. If you want to debate, email us.
Right.
Hit us on my Instagram, no matter, call, text.
Keep these high holy days, man.
Come.
Keep these high holy days.
All right, we love y'all, Israel. Shalom.
Shalom.